In this video, I want to talk about a specific quality that can help you figure out if you want to be a software engineer in the first place. And that topic is the ability to deal with ambiguous problems and what you do when you have an ambiguous problem. Hey guys, what up? It is October 27th, 6:36 p.m. and I'm gonna continue coding. It is a Friday and I spent most of the week dealing with life. So I haven't been coding that much throughout the week, but I'm hoping that I could get some work done before my Saturday team meeting, and hopefully it goes well. So I'm hoping that I could get a lot done in this session. Today I am planning to get started on the UI or continue working on the Figma mocks. Hopefully I can settle on a UI design that I like for blocking the apps. And it's kind of weird because I want a page to block the apps and I want a page to show apps that are already blocked so that you can unblock it. And I'm having a bit of issues figuring it all out, but hopefully I'll get some clarity today. The only thing left to do is just to get started. So yeah, let's get into it. So I started off the day by working on some UI mocks in Figma. I am trying to make a block app list. So part of what this app is supposed to do is it's supposed to block apps that are making people unproductive, and the user will be able to control which apps they decide to block. So we don't choose that, that's what the user does. And I'm just trying to make sure that the UI is modern and simple. I really just want to make it super easy where people can just search for the apps that they want to block. They can choose them and then they can click the bottom button over there to block the apps, and then they can enter a productive session. So the idea for now is there's an entire page, if you haven't seen it in the past videos, where there's a schedule list and a person can set their schedule, and then they come over to this page where they block the apps, and so those apps are blocked during the schedule that the user set. I'm not necessarily happy about the final design that I came up with, or at least this iteration, but hopefully it gets the job done for what we want, and then we can iterate upon it later on in another revision and we can make it look more clean, more minimalistic, and better overall. And after that UI mock, I just go into more debugging and try to solve an issue that I just happened to come across before working on the UI mock. And while that's going, I can just talk about a topic that I've been wanting to talk about for a while now. So if you're new to this channel, I usually take time during these time lapses to talk about topics that can help you be a better software engineer or developer, and in general help you be more productive. In this video, I want to talk about a specific quality that can help you figure out if you want to be a software engineer in the first place. And that topic is the ability to deal with ambiguous problems and what you do when you have an ambiguous problem. So in short, if you want to be a software engineer, a developer, or even just a general engineer, this can work for a mechanical or a civil as well. Ask yourself the question, how do you deal with a problem that is ambiguous? How do you deal with the problem when you don't know the answer for it? Do you go to somebody who's more senior or somebody who's more knowledgeable? Do you try to figure it out yourself? Do you take whatever the problem is and fidget with it for a while? And well, obviously I am alluding to it a little bit, but the way that you want to approach these problems, if you want to see if you're an engineer, is the fact of if you tackle the problem, if you try to fidget with it, if you try to look into how that problem was created and try to dig into it and try to figure out what exactly is happening. As a software engineer, you're always going to have a bunch of question marks, whether you caused the problem yourself, aka a bug, or there's something that you just don't know that's happening. For example, you downloaded a framework or a plugin and you don't exactly know the inner workings of it and you caused a bug that you know nothing about. Being able to dive into these issues and not be scared and run away from it is a quality that is super important to have as any type of engineer, and specifically for coders, developers, software engineers. So if you have this quality already, then great. If you don't have it, just pause right here and don't click off. It doesn't mean that you'll never have this quality. Luckily, like every other characteristic or quality in life, you can actually grow this. So if you still want to be a software engineer and you get this urge, which I have in the past, to run away from problems, especially when they get too difficult, here's what I would do in order to hone the craft of confronting ambiguity. The first thing that I would do is to tell myself that there isn't any pressure to actually get things right. As human beings, we always have ambiguous problems that can go from the range of having a little bit ambiguity, like having a class or a math equation where you still need to learn some things. You know some of the variables, but you don't know all of them, but you still feel like you can figure it out, and so you don't run away or get scared of it. And on the other side of the spectrum, you have problems with high ambiguity, almost like looking at a math textbook that you were never taught and is actually 3 years ahead of whatever class you're in. And lots of times the problems that scare us are going to be on that part of the spectrum. They're going to be the problems where we feel like we don't have a foundation, where we feel like we're too scared to handle it. And the best thing to do in this scenario is to realize that, hey, this math problem that I'm looking at, this textbook that I'm looking at is 3 years ahead of my time. I don't have a test that covers this material. I don't have to necessarily work on this now. And because of that, you should understand that if you get the problem wrong, or you don't understand it, or you need to go to a different resource in order to learn more about it, that you won't get penalized for it. There's no reason to run away from something or to be scared of something when there isn't any danger to your well-being or your grades or anything related to your standard or your position in life. And it's going to feel like a push and pull. You're not going to get this on the first try. I definitely didn't. At some point, you're going to feel this overwhelming, intense emotion that you have this wall in front of you that you just can't seem to surpass. And what I would say to that is that every wall crumbles. If you stand in front of a brick wall, a cement wall, even a steel or a metal wall, those walls will break down, they will erode, there will be corrosion, and those walls will fall. And it's all to say that if you just put the time in and you put enough time in, you will be able to walk past that wall, to climb past it however you need to, but you will get past that wall. So that's the second thing. After you feel comfortable enough to at least not run away from the problem, just give yourself the time in front of the textbook or in front of the resources, in front of the internet, to eventually get to a point where you can solve the problem that you were initially scared of. And this is essentially the cycle. It's a rinse and repeat. If you do this enough times, super easy steps, you will be able to handle ambiguity a lot better. When you come across ambiguous problems, you'll be less scared, and you'll be able to be one step closer to becoming a full-fledged, competent, better software engineer. And of course, there are other qualities too. Feel free to put them in the comments and let other people know about other skills or characteristics that you think are important. But honestly, I chose this particular characteristic because the ambiguity and the skill of handling ambiguity doesn't only apply to coding. It applies to every single part of your life. It applies to any part about your job, whether it is design docs, politics, talking to your manager, working with coworkers. there's always going to be ambiguity where there's human nature, and it's important to be able to handle this ambiguity with grace. So hopefully that helps you guys in your journey to being a software engineer. I know that this would have been something that I would have liked to hear when I was younger, so I hope that it helps. Other than that, this session was pretty good. I would give it maybe a 7 out of 10. I got a lot of the framework or skeleton structure of what I wanted done, but I didn't get to have as much progress as I wanted, which I feel like I say a lot, but I think it's just my nature. I just always try to do more. I always want to do more, and obviously I want to finish this product as fast as I can so that I could send it out into the app stores and you guys can try it out for yourself. It is definitely getting a lot more fun to develop the more that I get used to a lot of the different things in Flutter, a lot of the common errors that I'm finding, a lot of the widgets that I use, and it's making it a lot easier to make my code more expressive, to do the things that I want to do in the ways that I want to show it. And hopefully it'll come out in the final product of this app, or at least the minimum viable product part. Anyways, that's all that I have for now. Enjoy the rest of the time lapse, and I will see you guys in a little bit. Alright guys, it is October 28th, around 12:04 p.m. I had to stop coding last night because I started having stomach issues, and I decided to just merge last night's coding session and today's coding session since they were both about 2 hours, and so the entire coding session was about 4 hours. I felt super locked in, I felt pretty comfortable, and I actually started to improve a lot of my habits, especially when it comes to dealing with responsive elements. So I'm pretty happy about that. My debugging was pretty good today, but I'm feeling pretty tired because of my stomach issues still, and so I haven't been able to be as productive as I wanted to be. But hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you guys like the content and want to continue following me on my mobile app coding journey, and in general, my life, then feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.